why is Mark Stoops complaining to the SEC about Tennessee's lack of sportsmanship in the Tennessee win over the Kentucky Wildcats?
Mark Stoops has sent a tape to the SEC where it was on the play where John Campbell Jr. kind of was on the sideline and stuck his hand out and not John Campbell Jr., excuse me, Omarr
Norman-Lott.
And shoved his hand out and basically tackled Brock Vandagriff as he ran to the sideline.
He didn't basically tackle him. He basically slammed him to the ground.
Okay, that's a little bit aggressive, isn't it?
No, the guy is somebody that benches 500 pounds, which I guarantee you he does. If you're running towards him and you extend both of your arms, you have just been planted into the ground like a tomato vine.
I'm saying if you run to the sideline, at that point, the players in the field of play shouldn't hit you late, but players on the sideline should be protected, just like the quarterback who gives himself up by running to the sideline. I'm sorry.
Okay.
If he hasn't, I mean, they should have a stand your ground law for college football. If someone runs up into your space, you get to do this. He didn't throw him to the ground. He did this. That's all he did. It's not, it was like those cartoons where, the one like big guy like holds his hand out and then there's the other guy just like running the little guy. And it looked like he knocked him down. All he did was this. And I'm not saying Brock Vandagriff did anything wrong either.
Okay, I've got another one for you to play about Omarr Norman-Lott, and then I'm going to surprise some people with my take on Omarr Norman-Lott, because I think what we're asking ourselves based off this next one. Do you have this clip?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
Arkansas game. So I would give Omarr Norman-Lott leeway on either of these plays individually. Here's the Arkansas play where a lot of people thought that this was a low blow and went at the knees. Now, let's watch this in slow-mo.
Yeah, 55 right in the middle. Watch him submarine him right there.
Okay.
I got no problem with it.
You've got no problem with that.
Dave, for obvious reasons, lawsuits with the NFL, player behavior, CTE, all of that. You got a tight end who committed a double murder. You got a Miami tight end who's in jail for rape. You got behaviors of CTE that make former football players issues. The NFL and college football have worked to penalize any potential shot at a head. They've gone overboard in protecting the quarterbacks in that scenario. You are taught at this point, if you get any sort of pressure on the quarterback, go low, because if you even come close to the head, you're going to get a penalty. What is Omarr Norman-Lott supposed to do? If he goes high there, he could get a roughing the passer. That's what they've coached you to do. I'm sorry. I get it. The NFL wants and college football wants to protect their players and they want to protect the quarterback. Fine. But what no one has ever talked about with that decision is you're going to have a lot of players walking on crutches the rest of their lives as they retire. And this is that instance. Omarr Norman-Lott, for the sake of the game, has to go low. He did exactly what you're coached to do. And what is he supposed to do? He is playing low. He's getting leverage. He's diving for the quarterback. Taylor Green just had to get rid of the ball as he's going for Taylor Green. He did everything right there. I'm sorry that Taylor Green got hurt. This wasn't like you're making it sound like Omarr Norman-Lott was pulling a Jack Tatum purposely knocking Daryl Stingley in the head and paralyzing him for life. Okay. That's not what Omarr Norman-Lott did.
That's not the best example. If you want to say Night Train Lane and a clothesline, I mean, that's one thing. I don't think that Jack Tatum tried to paralyze Daryl Stingley. He didn't. I mean, he led with his head. We know in retrospect that it was, I don't think.
And he never apologized for it.
Well, I don't know about all that. Is Omarr Norman-Lott a dirty player? You have three options. Yes, clean it up. No, all good. Yes, I love it. I'm going to go with yes, I love it. And you have to play with some nastiness if you're on defense. And this team is predicated off dominating people. They do so in the red zone. They do so at multiple times and occasions when a team might be on the verge of mounting a bit of a comeback. I've said before that I didn't really have a problem with Keenan Pili, who had the late hit in September, and I didn't have a problem with Boo Carter and his sideline antics where he got called for a personal foul. Now, at some point, the culmination of everything is an issue. So if Omarr Norman-Lott did something like this again, or Boo Carter, which to me has 2 strikes against him, 1 strike would be the personal foul penalty. The other one is where he's celebrating on Instagram in the locker room after the Chattanooga game. Whoa, boy, you beat the Mocs. That to me is those are 2 strikes. Omarr Norman-Lott has 2 strikes. Next time, if he has another strike, I'm either going to call him to the side or maybe even bench him if he gets called for a personal foul, because he's very lucky that he didn't get called or suspended in either one of those instances.
Dave, the 2-strike rule is only if the 2 strikes are actual things you did wrong. Like in baseball, if you swing and a miss twice, that's 2 strikes that you shouldn't have swung at. Omarr Norman-Lott did nothing wrong on either of these plays.
Okay.
Like, he did nothing wrong. Okay, I get your point on, like, okay, going back to court. If you have like 18 different criminal charges in your life, but then the 19th one, you're thinking this may be a bit excessive, I shouldn't get punished too harsh. But a judge who's sentencing you is like, yeah, but you committed 18 other criminal charges in the past. I get it. But if you have, I don't know, if you're involved in 2 wrecks that were not your fault, but unfortunately somebody got injured in the wreck, but if the wreck itself wasn't your fault, the judge doesn't get to say, that's 2 strikes on you, a 3rd one, and I'm going to charge you with vehicular manslaughter. No, you don't get to do that. Like, he didn't do anything wrong on either of those plays. And Mark Stoops sending this tape to the SEC is very reminiscent of when Mike Shula complained about Smokey biting an Alabama player on the sideline back in 2006 after Alabama lost to Tennessee. That's what it looks like.
Well, Smokey is a dog. All right, let's remember that.
And Mike Shula wanted him suspended.
Yes. And Omarr Norman-Lott is a human being. And he should be more rational when he's on the football field. So are you willing to say that?
He's perfectly rational. What are you talking about?
Okay, let's do this. Bank on it. Omarr Norman-Lott will have another issue in which you and I are discussing his behavior after a particular Saturday coming up. He's got 4 games. That's a lot of opportunities. Bank on it. Is brought to you by our friends at Commercial Bank, member FDIC, life made better, cbtn.com, cbtn.com. Bank on it. I'll go ahead and tell you, he will have another issue, Caleb.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
All right, I'm banking on it. Omarr Norman-Lott will have another issue of a late hit or something where we at least have the debate. You think he's totally clear in both issues, but I think we'll at
100%.
least have the debate. You got to admit I'll have a leg to stand on, right? You're not saying this is cut and dry.
It depends on the issue. He's cut and dry innocent on these 2 plays. Cut and dry innocent. And now it's funny you talked about dirty players. Yes, I love it. I agree with you in the sense of a little bit of chippiness is you do want that. Now, I mean, there's a line, like in basketball, for instance. Larry Bird always said there was a difference in Rick Mahorn playing a little dirty and Bill Laimbeer playing dirty, because Rick Mahorn, all right, he'll foul you hard if you go under the basket and make you pay. But he's like, Bill Laimbeer would actually try to like cut your legs out from under you to break your legs when you were going up for a basket. So Bird has basically said if he ever sees Bill Laimbeer, it's on site in that moment.
Okay, are these both equally good, or is one worse than the other? The 2 plays that we looked at.
They're both equally innocent. They're equally 100% innocent. There is nothing wrong that I don't even consider this playing with an edge. That was a totally clean hit on Taylor Green, and that was a totally clean shove on Brock Vandagriff running to the sideline. He did nothing wrong on either play. Yeah, I said it. Nothing.
The play on the sideline should have been a penalty.
Oh
The
gosh.
Taylor Green thing, you do have an argument in that, yes, he was stumbling towards the quarterback. It's not like, do you remember Andre Dirty Waters? His name was Andre Waters. He played safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he would literally be coming free on a safety blitz and get low and dive at a quarterback's knees. It was so obvious that, like, we wouldn't even be debating it right now. But at least with Omarr Norman-Lott, he was getting blocked and going to the ground. So I would more times than not defend him on that, just like I defend guys when it comes to effort. I think I've mentioned this to you before. Sometimes if players are unsure what to do, it looks like an effort issue, but it really isn't, because they're not sure what they're supposed to be doing. So I'll defend him on the Taven Green one, but that one, if I'm Mark Stoops, I'm sending that to the office and I'm expecting, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, nothing's going to happen to Omarr Norman-Lott, I wouldn't think, but I don't know what Mark Stoops expects to happen, but that stuff is just, it's non-negotiable. I mean, that can start a brawl, Caleb. I'm surprised and a little disappointed and a little hurt that you didn't have a problem with the Vandagriff smack.
The smack. Sometimes you got to put Vandagriffs in their place. He didn't do anything wrong. He did nothing wrong. Do what you got to do. Protect yourself. Boom. That's all he did. Okay. And Vandagriff, it's not my fault. Omarr Norman-Lott is so strong that Vandagriff falls backwards 1,000 yards when you do this.
Well, he practically knocked Brock Van Wilder into the Green Lantern uniform.